I have literally been on Zoom since 8 a.m. this morning.
Yep. I hear you.
That's no fun.
Like not a single break, nothing.
Yeah.
And we're doing a mile a day challenge through the month of March.
Mhm.
And I have not got my mile in today. My Fitbit says I have moved exactly 0.3 miles today.
Pacing. You need more pacing.
It's a little disappointing.
My watch keeps telling me to get up.
Yeah,
Like, I'd like to, I really would.
I would love to.
Yeah. All right, let's try again. Maybe these guys have voice now.
Hello.
All right.
Yes,
Hello.
Erica, we can hear you.
Awesome.
Can't see you. Are we going to see you or are you?
I know. I'm trying to figure out how it doesn't, I don't see an option to turn on video.
Huh. Well, Miranda couldn't turn on audio or voice before, so she
Oh, no.
left and came back. So I'm not
So
sure.
we have hear no and we have see no.
Yeah.
Or no, we have speak no and see no. So now we just need hear no.
Well, maybe that's Christina because she hasn't spoken yet.
There we go.
I don't know.
I'm here.
All right. Excellent. Good to hear your voice.
Good afternoon, everyone. I was looking for the video button as well, and I've not seen it.
I wonder if
God.
On mine, it's down at the bottom left next to mute. That only pops up when I bring my cursor down there.
Zoom is also doing some interesting things today. So
and I don't know if
just to clarify how long I've been on Zoom, I was sitting here thinking, who's the third board member? I only count 2. I'm in fine form tonight, just full warning.
Perfect. Would you like us to begin, or would you like to call the meeting in order? How would you like us to proceed?
I don't, Dr. Moshe, please correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I don't believe that we need to call this meeting to order because it's just a presentation to us, although it is an open board meeting. So if we need to
I
call
would,
it-
Brooke, just act as if.
I will now call this meeting to order. Thank you to the folks from the SAO coming up to present their audit findings for us.
Perfect. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christina Baylor, and I'm excited to be here this evening with you to present the district's most recent audit results. Joining me today, I have 2 members of my staff that participated in the district's audit. We have Erica Davies, who served as the audit supervisor. Erica was tasked with reviewing all of the work that went into your audit, and she will be helping me with our presentation this evening, as well as Miranda Shales, who served as your audit lead. And Miranda returned. This was her 2nd year as well as Erica's. So you received the same audit team for 2 years in a row, which is always great for efficiency. Before we go any further and share our screen, I'd like to give the district an opportunity to do introductions as well. I don't know, Dan, if you'd like to help us with that, or if you have somebody that would like to start us off.
Sure. And it's kind of odd because they're probably in different positions than I am. So I'll ask you to raise your hand. We'll start with the superintendent, Joe Moshe. And then we have 3 board members here today, Brooke Williford, Andrea Downs, and Marnie Jackson. And hidden from sight is Kristen McCarroll.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm going to take a moment just to make sure I can share my screen and everyone is able to see our presentation. How does that look for everyone?
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and jump right in. I did mention that the purpose of tonight's meeting was to share the results of the district's most recent audit. And to do so, we have prepared a presentation for you as we're continuing to adapt to these COVID-19 remote meetings. If you recall, in years past, you might be accustomed to us coming out and sharing a packet with you of information. We still value that packet. That packet is a very important part of our exit presentation because it does contain draft copies of the audit reports that we will be publishing. So please note that we do have a packet of information that's supplementing this PowerPoint presentation. I believe Miranda has gone ahead and shared that with your team, and it might already be disseminated. So we will be referencing some key pages from that packet, but we won't be speaking directly from it. So you might want to have it handy if you'd like to follow along. Otherwise, rest assured, all of the results are also in our presentation for you this evening. And we'll start with the first slide here, where we talk a little bit about the audit process in general before we want to dig into the specific results. So the audit process is a really great tool that we like to share with you just in general, so that you know how these results may assist your district in continuing to fulfill its public mission and work with your constituents. So first, the goal of any audit is to help increase trust in your government's operations. So an audit really serves as a tool to let you know whether things are working as you intended them to work, or whether there's areas that could benefit from some fine tuning. Secondly, an independent audit, such as the one that's conducted by the State Auditor's Office, give you an additional level of assurance because those results are made publicly available. So your constituents can see those results. Your users of your financial reports, such as bond rating agencies, can take a look at those results and make decisions that really do impact the district, as well as letting your school district parents and families know how your district's operations are working. But we know that the goal of any audit is to share information with you, but it could result in recommendations. So whether you receive any recommendations or not, we always find it very important to let you know that we take great care in looking at those items to make sure that any recommendations we find help with the district's improving your efficiency and effectiveness of your operations. So tonight, our goal is to really walk you through the results of the audits that we did conduct for you and answer any questions that you might have before we proceed with publishing those results. And we're going to begin with the first of 2 audit reports. And I know that Miranda is going to share those results with you. Miranda? Oh, we can't hear you, Miranda. Oh no.
That is okay. Maybe I will, maybe I will take over.
Thank you,
Okay,
Erica.
so yes, we performed 3 different types of audits this year for the district. The first type being an accountability audit. The district is on a 3-year accountability cycle. So the audit period for this one was quite a long period. It started in September 1st of 2017 through August 31st, 2020. And the goal of an accountability audit is really to assess whether the district has safeguarded public resources, complied with various state laws, and its own policies and procedures, and just generally whether your operations provide adequate controls over those different areas. And so the first item we wanted to share with you, of course, is some good news. The fact that we audited various different areas, which we'll explore later on the next screen. But in those areas that we selected, we found that the district ended up complying with, in all material respects, those applicable state laws, regulations, its own policies, and the district had adequate controls over safeguarding of public resources in those areas, which is really great news. So as far as the individual sections that we reviewed over the course of the accountability audit, one of the biggest areas that we did work on is an accounts payable, which we did pretty much a general disbursement system review, which is where we take a look at basically any different methods that the district can expend money. We take a look at the controls over those different processes. And we're looking for things like, do those control processes Are there reviews in place to ensure that the items that are being purchased are following district policies? Do they have a valid business purpose? Are they supported with the appropriate documentation? So like invoices or receipts or anything like that. So we took a look at the general disbursement process, credit cards, travel expenditures, what we call electronic fund transfers or EFTs, and then as well as employee reimbursements. Another couple areas that we looked at are what we call professional learning and local revenue subfund. And these are a couple of different areas that are fairly new, and they're results of the McCleary Act and the new legislation in the last couple of years that are pertaining to school districts. And it seems like each year we kind of we peel back a layer of the onion. We get a little bit more as far as guidance for what these areas should be looking like at the district. And so then we have kind of a new set of audit procedures that we have to do over these different areas. And then lastly, I'll just mention ASB activities for fundraisers. This is something that actually related to the last time the district had an accountability audit, as the district received what we call a management letter over our testing of fundraisers. We found a couple things that we wanted to bring to the district's attention in the last audit. So in this audit, we did some follow-up procedures to ensure that those items had kind of all been taken care of. Does anybody have any questions over any of the different areas on the screen there? Awesome.
So Erica, I just wanted to add, on the previous screen, you saw that our conclusion overall was that the district had adequate internal controls and complied in all the areas that we would expect you to comply. So what that means after looking at all these areas now in front of you is that this was a clean audit. This is a good, clean audit. We touched a wide variety of areas, covered a lot of audit ground, and had no significant audit recommendations. So no management letters, no audit findings. In fact, we only had 2 very minor recommendations at the exit item level, which we liken to housekeeping items, things that we normally find during the course of an audit. So you can rest assured that this was a really good audit and a testament to the district's internal controls working properly. So great job, South Whidbey School District. This is an excellent result.
Thanks to Dan, in no small part.
Yes. Yeah, so we just have a slide here to mention kind of what I was mentioning before, the management letter that was issued in the prior audit. We were able to mark this item as resolved. And we would like to give a special shout out to Paul, the assistant principal and athletic director, for kind of ensuring that we worked with him as kind of our main contact for covering our follow-up procedures in this area. So shout out to him. Okay. And now we'll move to the last 2 audits that we perform on an annual basis for the district, which are our financial audits and our federal grant compliance audit. So the first one I'll walk you through is the financial statement audit. And as you'll notice, this period is limited to the 2020 school year. So the goal of a financial statement audit is to issue an opinion about whether the financial statements can be relied upon to make decisions. And so our goal with that is to make sure that there's no big errors or misstatements in the actual numbers of the financial statements, or what we call the F-196 package for school districts. And the good news there is, once again, we have a clean audit. You'll see in that big blue square that we have issued an unmodified opinion in accordance with the accounting manual, which is the manual that gives the guidance that the school districts prepare their financial statements on, which is great. You'll also see, though, that in the middle there is kind of a technicality where audit standards do require us to mention in our audit reports that the district doesn't prepare financial statements under GAAP. That is what we call issuing an adverse opinion. However, that opinion really has no bearing and no effect on the district's clean audit opinion in accordance with the regulatory basis. And that's the opinion that everybody, stakeholders, everybody kind of pays attention to. So that's all you kind of need to know about that. But we do conduct our audits in accordance with government auditing standards, which means that not only do we look at the figures that are on the financial statements themselves, we also look at what we call internal controls in compliance over financial reporting. So that means we're looking at not only the numbers on the financial statements, but also the processes that the district has set up throughout the year to ensure that they're accounting for their transactions correctly, and all of your year-end, all the year-end, journal entries get all buttoned up and done correctly. So we work with Dan and others that are in that financial statement preparation role to do some inquiries about that and to do some testing on things like the year-end journal entries. So we are once again very glad to share that we didn't identify any big holes in those processes. So in accounting speak, that would be those first two bullets down there where we state we didn't identify any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. That just means we didn't identify any big holes in those processes, which is great news. And we also didn't identify any instances of non-compliance that we would believe to lead to any sort of material effects on the financial statements of the district. All around great news. There are a few items that audit standards require us to communicate. And the first one being that there were no uncorrected misstatements over the course of the audit. So that means that your financial statements are free from anything that we identified. The final copies are clean, and there's no kind of misstatements resulting from the audit in there. So that's great. And we're also required to communicate that there were no material misstatements in the financial statements that were corrected by management during the audit. So still continues to be just great news all around. Okay, so moving on to our federal grant compliance audit, you'll see that the period is the same as our financial statement audit, just the school year 2020. And our goal with the federal grant compliance audit is to issue an opinion on whether the district materially complied with all of the requirements of that federal funding for whatever specific program that gets selected. So continuing with the good news, we're issuing an unmodified opinion on the district's compliance with all of the requirements that are applicable to the major programs that we selected, which is good. But once again, similar to the financial statements, because we do conduct our audits in accordance with government audit standards and uniform guidance, we do also look at those control processes to make sure that the district has processes set up to kind of ensure compliance with each one of those requirements of each of the grants. But we didn't identify any weaknesses in those processes, so there was no control issues that we needed to report on. And we also didn't identify any instances of non-compliance during our testing of any of the compliance requirements that we were required to report. As far as the programs that we looked at this year, we ended up looking at two different programs. The first one being the child nutrition cluster. And you'll note that we put just a little note in here that says that this is the program that contains some of the COVID-19 funding, which was definitely the riskier area kind of coming into this audit. We knew that this funding was something new all across the state, and it definitely was kind of a factor in determining which programs we needed to select. But then in order to reach an appropriate amount of coverage for the district's federal expenditures, we did also have to add the special education cluster, which is one of the district's bigger programs that it has. So it has that higher dollar amount and got us the coverage that we needed. Overall, we audited about 53% of the total federal expenditures for the district for 2020. And once again, it was a completely clean audit. So that is really great news for the district. Are there any questions on either the financial statement or the federal grant audits that I could help answer?
Not a question, but just thank you, Dan. This is an amazing audit. You did a beautiful job. And I know you will thank the team behind you. You were the one who put all the binders together.
Yeah, it is a team effort, no doubt.
This is really good, Dan.
Great.
Yeah, I think we've been a little bit spoiled here. I'm just curious if there's anything that doesn't show up in the standard forms that you think we should know about for our district.
No, I don't think so. I think we had a pretty comprehensive audit this year with having the accountability audit up this round. And the district just, it's had a pretty clean audit history. So those processes that are in place are clearly working. And, as the benefit of having Miranda and I back is, both the efficiency for the audit, but also we get to build on our knowledge from the prior year. So we know a lot more about the district's processes. So that should just mean extra assurance for you guys, because we were able to build on that knowledge that we learned and go a little bit deeper in our understanding of everything. So yeah.
Thank you. That's helpful. I know that when you've got a big government or bureaucratic form to fill out, sometimes some things slip between the cracks. So I just like to see if it didn't make it. But thank you.
Yes. Yeah, no problem. Yep. And I think we just have a few concluding comments, and then we will let you guys go.
Okay, thank you, Erica. Well, Erica got to share all the good news. I have more of the administrative things to share with you today. So one item that we did want to share with all of our clients this year is a new tool, a relatively new tool that actually came back out in 2019. So you may or may not have seen it yet. This is a tool that's based on our website. It can be viewed both publicly and also through the client portal, which is the portal that Dan uses to upload certain information. So what the tool is it's a way to track prior audit recommendations, specifically those recommendations that the district may receive at a higher level, so management letters and findings. In the past, you might recall, we would share all of these recommendations in paper form. So in order to reference those, you had to maintain those paper files and keep them organized, which can be challenging if you have turnover or just not a great way of filing those away. So Tracker is trying to help with that by putting them all in an electronic format so you can access them and see them. But it has a couple of other benefits to it as well that we want to make sure that everyone is aware of. And one is for those items, those management letter or finding items, we recognize, like in the district's case, you receive an accountability audit every 3 years. So we're following up on a management letter that was issued for fiscal year 16. So quite a long time ago. But since that time period, fiscal year 16, there's probably a lot of actions or things the district has taken to correct that item that we're just now seeing now that we're doing the 3-year audit. So what Tracker does let you do is it lets you provide status updates. So when you receive those higher level recommendations, you can go in and log in certain actions that you take to correct those items. So it can be a good place to kind of jot down those notes and just share information with your auditor on what steps you're taking to resolve those issues. Now for audit findings, the district doesn't have any of those, but should you have an audit finding in the future, Tracker has a public facing component. So with an audit finding, if you were to put a status update in there, the public would also be able to see that through our external website. So it can be another tool for you to communicate outward the steps that you're taking in between audits to your constituents. So we did include a handout at the back of your packet if you'd like to find out more, but just a heads up, this is a new tool. It's available to you right now, but you have no management letters or findings. So no need to go out there and utilize that right now. So that's good. In terms of closing remarks, we do touch on where we ended up with the audit cost. So you might recall at the beginning of our engagement, we did provide an estimate of our audit cost. Since we conducted a 100% remote audit, we're very pleased to note that there were no travel costs incurred, and we were able to return those expected costs fully to the district. So that resulted in a travel savings of about $4,300, which is always great to see. In terms of your next audit, we typically start our school districts at the beginning of each year, so usually around the January, February timeframe. So we do expect the next audit to occur in winter of 2022, but this time it'll only be the financial and federal grant compliance audit. So we have included an estimate for that next audit in your packet, and so that's a great tool for you to use for budgeting purposes. In terms of next steps, following today's meeting, we'll move ahead with publishing the 2 audit reports. We only have 2 audit reports because the financial and federal results are packaged together in one report. So that's why you only have 2 coming out. Those reports should be available within the next 1 to 2 weeks. And so if you haven't already, you can sign up to get notifications on when your reports are released. There's a link provided on the screen there, but also in your packet, and that'll let you know when those are ready. And then once your report is released, we'll be sending out a customer service survey. I believe that goes directly to Dan, but it can be shared with anyone that you would like. And that's just a great opportunity, if you have a few minutes, to share any feedback on how we can continue to support the district and improve our services. So no worries, all feedback is good feedback. Anything we can do to continue to improve, we appreciate. And then lastly, the really sad part right now is that we would invite Miranda to jump in here and give her heartfelt acknowledgements to the district, but I don't think she can speak right now. No.
No,
Still silent.
Still not working.
So
But,
how about you share, Erica?
Yes, I worked very closely with Miranda, and she just would always convey to me what an awesome relationship she has with the district. And you know, this year, having such a unique experience with doing 100% remote audit, things really, you know, didn't change that much. We still had those weekly status updates with Dan, and he was as quick as ever to return documents to us, even though I know that there was extra time involved on his end and extra effort to, you know, if he had to scan various things or just find the multitude of electronic documents that we requested. So the audit still went on in a very efficient manner. And it was just so nice to work with everyone at the district. Everybody was just so kind and very timely, despite all the additional challenges that this audit faced in the remote environment. So we just wanted to say that we very much appreciate the relationship with the district, and we really enjoyed our time working on the audit.
I'd also like to respond that, you know, I really appreciate the job that you and Miranda did. You know, it was a very comprehensive audit this year, much more difficult because of everything being remote. And I truly appreciated the weekly updates and the meetings and the opportunity to talk about what was going on and where we were in the audit, and, you know, what things were maybe not getting through as quickly as possible so we could, you know, help with that process. So Christina, you have a good team and they did a really nice job. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, with that, that was a perfect segue. Thank you, Dan. We would like to give you, as the district, one last opportunity. If you have any questions or comments, other than that, this is what we have to share with you. So we could go on and on about how great of an experience it was. It was truly a good audit. And so we definitely want to highlight that. But if you have any last questions or comments, we'd be happy to take those.
You have another 30 minutes. Go ahead and continue.
I just want to restate the expressions of gratitude for everyone involved in this process. Gratitude for Christina and Erica and Miranda for the excellent work. Gratitude for Dan's diligence and incredible competence. Thank you.
And I would be negligent if I didn't mention that we have a very talented team across the district, whether it's the district office, the building secretaries, the food service administration, you know, all the areas they touched. We have a lot of people that do really good work and are very conscientious and care about the district. And they deserve a lot more credit than I actually do in this. I just kind of hold everything together.
And Miranda, I want to thank you for your participation, and I sense your wholehearted presence despite your silence.
This is where we have to adopt the thumbs up for the people that can't talk and and expressions. Okay, well, with that, I just want to thank you again all for taking time out of your day to allow us the opportunity to share these great results with you. We look forward to future audits with your district and are always available on the interim to answer any questions you might have. And we're looking forward to 2022. Maybe we'll get to see you in person.
That's right. Okay. Thank you so much. It's always nice to get good news.
Definitely. All right. Well, have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Declare this
Bye.
meeting adjourned. Thank you.
So we got a half hour. So I guess we should adjourn and
Yeah.
come back in a half hour.
Yep.
I'm gonna go see if I can get my mile done so I don't lose.
All right. See you later.
See you in a
Thanks,
bit.
everybody.
Adjourned.